Make the booty bounce on the dance floor. Bounce on the dance floor.
Ladies and gents, what's going on? This is Ryan, otherwise known as Big Smelly. I'm here tonight with Frank. He's joining us from the AP Splits. He's going to take over for Rob and Dave if they have some other duties to attend to. But we're here at Kyalami. We're just getting into qualifying. Frank, how are you doing tonight?
Good night, and I suppose good morning for anybody watching in the AP region. Yeah, opportune moment for me. Have the ability to step in and help yourself out with the commentary. Looking forward to some cracking races tonight at Kyalami.
Absolutely. This is a incredibly flowy track. I think it's one of my favorites, and surprisingly, I didn't race on it too much until this week, but I've always enjoyed it.
Yeah, it certainly is. I was commentating one of the AP splits a couple of days ago, and it rained both races, so it definitely adds an element to the circuit. As we know, there's a couple of corners there that can catch you out if you're too aggressive. Curbs are definitely a thing here, but it also leads to some absolute cracking races. As we saw during the week, we had a third place could not be split down to 4 digits. It was that close.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. That was the Lightning McQueen edit that we saw, right?
Yeah, exactly. Finish. Yeah, we tried it. We could not split it between third and fourth. So as I said, absolute cracking races here at Kyalami. So looking forward to seeing what the North America boys can do.
Yeah, absolutely. We're on board with Gabriel Marsan right now as he is finished with his outlap and starting to put some numbers on the board. He is just in sector 1 right now, so he's got a bit of time. But we'll see what these guys get. What times do you think will be averaging? I assume Speedy Boys 40s, mid to low 40s.
Yeah, you would think so. I think both of mine that I watched during the week were in the wet, so it's a little bit hard to tell. But I think around the 40s is usually the benchmark. But we'll see what happens. It's not an overly long lap, so you've got plenty of opportunity to get a couple of laps in with the short qualifying format. So just watching the Mercedes, it's not as suited, the Mercedes we found to this circuit than some of the others, but in the right hands, obviously you got every opportunity to put a good lap time down.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Another thing with this track, Kyalami seems to munch on tires like no other. I realized that I did not have enough time in my tires the other night in the rookie series. It seemed like after 20 minutes, my tires were absolute toast. Very little grip.
Yeah, a lot of continual lateral pressures. We see Cheetah being taken a bit too aggressively and it just unsettled the car. Did well to hold on to that. Come through to finish their lap. But yeah, I think just the amount of lateral loads that you're putting on the cars, it does put a lot of pressure on them, and will be a little bit of time management going on. It's only the sprint round, it's not an endurance, so these guys will be trying to avoid making the pit stop.
Well, we don't get a pit stop tonight, correct? Or we can, but you
No,
cannot refuel.
Yeah, you can make a pit stop if you need to,
Okay.
but the optimal strat is to not. So if you do spend all your tyres, it's a big penalty if you have to go in and get a new set.
Yeah, absolutely. You got some blocks on there, changing out. So we got some times coming across the board right now. Looks like our fastest lap of the session is a 141.151. And that was done by Kenneth Portis in the Honda.
Good to see in the Honda. Very underappreciated car, I feel, in ACC. Good to see 141 lows being put up with plenty of time still to improve. So I think you're going to be bang on 140s will be about the mark.
What about a 139? Is that out of the picture?
Certainly not. I think probably with a longer qualifying, I think we'll see it. I think just probably not enough time in the qualifying session to get a rhythm and get everything set up and going to really attack for a 139.
Right. You got Kenneth Portis coming across the finish line right now, and it looks like he does not improve coming across the finish line with a 42.9. Let's see if anyone can top his time of the low 141.
I'll tell you what, not much separating him from P2, 0.075.
Those two have been at the top almost every week. Very quick.
Yeah, in the Hondas as well, so good to see. Have a look. Wow.
Donuts.
Absolute donuts there to go down to the fourth digit to separate them, but Portis will still stay on pole as he set that lap first.
That is remarkable. I have never seen donuts in qualifying before. That is incredible.
That is a very spicy grid so far. You have a look at your top three separated by less than a tenth. Usually indicates there's going to be some good racing coming up once these guys get going.
Yeah, even within the top 10, it looks like everybody is separated under a second. So you could even say top 11 once you get to Landry, all within a second of pace from Kenneth Portis.
Yeah, that's very good signs for this week. So just watching Portis come through Cheetah. Takes about as much as you'd want to He has this one and probably one more flying if he so chooses. A wide exit out of the final turn. Attacks the line but does not improve, so he's got one more opportunity.
I'm going to go ahead and jump on board with Faraz Saidi. Jump into the beamer. As you see down below, it looks like his best time is a 141.877. So that's very quick for the beamer. Not saying it's a bad car, but very difficult one from what I've seen. And he does improve. He goes up to P7 with the 141.559. And he'll get one more lap here.
Just maybe approaching some traffic, and he's got some behind as well, but it's up to the driver behind to make room. But will that traffic of that one in front, the McLaren, no, looks like he's either taking a different line or backing out there for a second, but as we watch Saidi, what can he do? This is the sort of technical part of the track. Very easy to lose the rear of the car through this section.
You know, it seems like any track, if you lose it in a corner, you lose quite a bit of time. But Kyalami especially feels almost as if you lose half a second if you botch a corner completely.
Yeah, it's very easy. You know, there's no runoff like somewhere like Paul Ricard where you can get away with a lot of mistakes. It's basically grass, and your basically first instinct is to try and get the car under control and then get going, which always costs time. Saidi now, as he approaches the last corner to finish his last qualifying lap, can he improve? Right out on the exit. As he approaches the line, no, he doesn't.
So it doesn't improve.
Someone who...
Go ahead.
I was going to say, Dornell's did improve, though. He goes P1. Manages to just eclipse Portis.
There's our high.
So there we go. There's our 40. You called it.
And as we wait for the next session to start, we'll get the race here in one moment. Take a look at chat. McFriedlich, good morning, good afternoon, good night. How are you? Top two are very close. Top four, for that matter. Very close.
Yeah, it's got all the potential to be a cracking race. Hope it's not a very long one, but hopefully these guys can stick together and provide some great moments.
I'd like to take a look at the cars at the front there. Hondas, along with Renato Dornelles, which is a site that we generally see each week. Got an Audi at the pointy end. Generally, you see the manufacturers grouped up all together, but it seems as if everybody is fairly spread out. Do you have a favorite around here, Frank?
Car or livery?
Car.
I'm not any one particular car for me. I think they're all. I mean, some are slightly better than others. I think the McLaren's a cracking car to drive and to look at. But I've got some sentimental reasons for the Porsche, as I drove it in one of the earlier seasons of ACC. But you know, in the right hands, any of these cars can win. Is the great thing about this series.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, while we wait for the race start, unfortunately, I don't have race control. Let's give this a shot. Nope. Okay. I got my notes. So, as for the top 10 going into round 7, we have Austin Carpenter moving up to P5. Faraz Saidi P6 swapping with Kogan, who goes down to P7. Landry moves up to P8. Bruno Fabiano P9, and Dave Hassar, after his podium last week, rounds up the top 10 at P10.
Safety car makes its way through to lead the field. Now, as you mentioned earlier, this track does take a bit out of the tyres. I wonder how aggressive people are going to be on warming the tyres, knowing that they do it maybe too much. There may be a lap or two that might be taken out of the tyres towards the end of the race. And if you're fighting with someone, you'll need every advantage you can get.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think in the 20-minute race you can get away with it a tiny bit more. You really start to feel it once you get into that 40-minute sprint. Say, if you're pushing early on and you drive the same way that you do in this 20-minute race, you are going to be sliding quite a bit by the end of that.
I think the other question is, will these two come together, the two Hondas? It's one thing to hit another driver, but one thing you definitely don't want to do is hit your teammate. Thanks for an awkward chat later.
Preferably
Will
not,
we
right?
see? Will we see a big send into turn one? Well, turn one's the kink, but turn two, which is the heavy braking zone.
Prediction time, chat. How wide will North America Blue Split go through turn 1, turn 2?
I'm thinking 4 cars.
You think 4? I'm going to go with 5. There was a sub for the safety car this week, wasn't there?
A sub?
Yeah. Didn't the car switch? Didn't we have a particular Porky Boy out there?
We did. We had, as we see, I don't know if that's just a Netco thing. I just saw, I think it was a McLaren going to the distance, but I think it's okay. Yeah, we've...
Go ahead.
Yeah, we have updated safety car for the AP splits. Hopefully we'll get it across to the NA soon, but just approaching the final corner now, and I'll let you take it.
All right, sounds good. As we wait for the green lights, everyone will have to get on the home straight here. We have Dornelis at the pointy end, followed by Kenneth Portis, Alvarado, Alves, and Ike Guy. That rounds up the top 6. Bruno Vasquez at P7, Perez Saidi at 8, Blaine Hall 9, Carpenter at 10. And we have green, green, green. We're going down into turn 1 and turn 2. This is the time when you put your predictions in. How wide are we going to go? I've seen 3. See 3 cars, relatively clean still. I did say that word. 4. Do we see 5? I do not see 5. But everyone gets around there. We still have Dornelis at the pointy end. No, we don't. Dornelis has been overtaken by Kenneth Portis, it looks like. Oh, a bit of sadness here in the back. We got a Merc going off Porsche as well. Looks like the Nissan could have taken a bit of contact there, but he maintains on the road. Let's jump back up to the front.
So safety car still not moving, so play on is the call. Yeah, great start from Portis there, getting the jump through turn 1. Dornelis had to take a massively defensive line into turn 1 to block off one of the Hondas, and I think that just compromised his exit a little bit, and it just allowed Portis to get in and nab P1.
So I think you won that bet there, Frank. I only saw 4 wide.
I'll take it in iced coffee.
Some Farmers Union.
No, I'm a dare man.
Ah, okay.
As we watch approach Cheetah and come through and finish the first lap, it will be Portis who leads them around. That was a pretty clean start. I've seen certainly a lot more death at this track.
We're going to hop back to Tommy Kogan in the GDI, who's currently trailing Thomas Dagg, Mr. Waffle Smacks.
I've been calling Portis who's in the lead. It's actually Alvarado, sorry, that got the jump. So it must have been Portis that was going aggressive at the rear into turn 1. And Alvarado's managed to pick both their pockets. So we watch Kogan now, looking at the back of that Mercedes. Be a brave man to make an overtake through here, but will he have a look into the hairpin?
Relatively tight track. Tighter than what I remembered going into this week. Ooh, a bit of
Oh, as we
sadness.
see a Porsche around.
Who was that? Do we see a number on it? Let's see.
No, it may be Vasquez though.
Yeah, possibly Bruno.
It is, and he's coming to and made contact.
Oof.
And that Ferrari is hard into the wall and around.
See that here on the tail end. Looks like he was potentially trailing Perez Saidi there in the Beamer. Get a cockpit view.
Oh, just lost it, I think.
Yeah, I think it was the curb.
Yeah, it just got too much curb and unsettled, and then he tries to filter it back out. Everybody taking avoiding action. Well done by that Honda, but there we go. Contact with the Ferrari. Ferrari hard right into that wall. That's going to be a fair amount of damage. So as we see the Porsche go wide again, and now it's going to be 3 almost into the last corner. That's probably going to get looked at by stewards, you feel. And there's another quote.
Yeah, that's not good.
There's a car stopped just at the pit entry, I think, as well. It's around, it's going again. But yeah, that is... Yeah, that is one beat up Porsche, and it'll be really tough to drive around here. That's Voice, and I wonder if that's the one that copped the damage into the wall.
Yeah, I believe so. All right, we'll hop back into the front. Nicholas Alvarado still leading with a quickest lap time of 141.457. So we're getting close to quali pace. Not quite yet, but certainly quick. Only 0.4 off.
Yeah, obviously with the extra fuel these guys are carrying, we'll slow them down. But as that burns off, probably find the lap times will come down. All right, Don Ellis hunting the rear of that Honda. Portis has drifted a little bit off the back. I thought he might have been a little bit closer, but if these two start fighting, it'll bring him well and truly back into this.
Gets a bit squirrely there on the exit. We have a new fastest lap currently, 141.328, which was placed by Dornelis.
He's on the charge.
Have some other close battles here. It looks like Kogan is following Tatis Lucas fairly close, half a second. Let's jump on board with Tommy. Ooh. That was a Boatley sitting in the middle of the road there. Who was that?
Pointed the wrong way.
Jeff Spangler, possibly. Oh, yeah, that was Jeff Spangler. That is Mr. P5 at the moment. That's rough.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I wonder if there was contact. He was in a bit of a group, so it does not take a lot to spin these cars. You just get hit at the wrong spot at the wrong time, and you have no choice but to go around.
Mr. Thomas Dagg up at P11 right now. He's done a good job to avoid a lot of the sadness that we've seen on the track tonight. Unfortunately, he has been on the receiving end of that past few weeks. But he's another very quick driver. Good to see him fighting his way back up the ranks.
That reminds me a lot of one of his teammates in the AP split, Alex Bone, who's also driving the Mercedes, and he's a very quick boy, but he has had some horrible luck this year.
Hate to see it.
We'll see if he can hold off Landry in the Fezzer. He managed to close the gap a little bit to Kogan in front. Kogan probably looking the back of the Honda in front of him, so all you need is the guys in front to start fighting, and all of a sudden you start making up a ton of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Fastest lap still stands at the 141.328. And as for pace between Dornelis and Alvarado, Dornelis is slowly inching closer and closer. As you can see, he's already 4/10 away from Alvarado currently. His last lap was about a tenth faster. Now we got Josh in the chat saying car 11 got a 10-second penalty, 2 5-second penalties for same collision.
May have deemed it worthy of two fives, or there was two actual separate incidents with the same car.
I thought he had been hit, but I could be wrong. Alright, let's jump back up to Dornelis as he is about a tenth away. Top two drivers here very quick, and Nicholas Alvarado is certainly known to stick his elbows out and keep Dornelis at bay, but both very, very fast drivers.
Yeah, it is possible to defend, but there are some sections you've got to be hyper aware. End of sector 3, sector 1 especially. If you get through in the lead into this middle sector, it becomes very hard for the driver behind to get a move done. But not impossible, as we've seen in the past. Dornelis though, just got to try and follow in the wake of Alvarado in front, just not lose contact. But the more he sits behind, the more this involves Portis, who's now closed the gap about 2 or 3 tenths in the last lap or so. So he's definitely hoping for his teammate to hold Dornelis up so he can get involved in this fight.
So if you're going into Sector 3, do you think you're going to attempt and pull a pass in the mine shaft right here? Obviously turn 12 going into Crocodiles. As it looks like he may be trying that.
Yeah, the track does go out wide enough. Unfortunately, you've got Cheetah that if you're not on the right line, as we see there, it's going to cost him not only time but also second place as Portis fires around the outside. And I think he's just got enough grunt in that Honda and he will take P2. So we just saw through an example of what you said earlier. As soon as you get offline, it costs you a fair amount of time, and Portis absolutely took advantage of Dornelis just getting Cheetah wrong a little bit there.
Yeah, that was a solid, about half a second to 6 tenths. It's a lot of time just for one turn.
So now this is suddenly a three-way fight between Alvarado, Portis and Dornelis.
We're going to jump on board with Perez Saidi right now as he's 2 tenths behind Alloy Ike Guy.
You should see the times on these guys and see if the gap for them also drops down to the leading trio.
Let's see, last laps for Alloy Ike Guy and Perez Saidi actually had faster laps previously than the top 3 as they were battling. Pulling in some high 41s, so they certainly had pace.
This could be a 5-way battle with a good mix of cars.
We got
It's over 8 minutes to go. Sorry.
15-second penalty, you're good, on car 14. Car 14 is Jackson Tomasco. Could have been the contact that we saw on Jeff Spangler there. Going into barbecue. They weren't too original on the turn names here, were they?
No, there are some pretty original ones.
Let's see. The Kink. That's always good.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead.
I was just going to say they're just approaching sunset now up to Clubhouse, I think this is. Now they're down to the S's. This section here is really tricky. You've got to be very careful. It's very easy to lose the car through both of those sections. So they make their way to an uphill blind heavy braking zone in Lee Coop. And down towards Mineshaft.
Ironically enough, I feel that uphill, the blind left-hander actually helps you brake versus other turns. None of them come to mind right now that may punish you more so. Say like I don't know, in OOR Rouge, that is just an evil witch.
Yeah, OOR Rouge is an art. Once you've done it enough times, though, Lee Coop is pretty easy, as you said. That gravity does help the car pull up. It's just knowing where to brake without actually seeing the corner. Just trusting that the car's going to stop in time and you're going to make it. These guys... Sorry, I was just going to say, these guys just starting to lose touch a little bit. They're not making the inroads they are, as Alvarado starting to drive away from Portis, who's under attack from Don Ellis.
Hop on board there. Yeah, like you said, Alvarado's certainly taking advantage of that clean air. He will be running into a back marker probably within the next 2 laps. As we have car 15 just ahead of him. Other battles, let's see. Jeff Spangler is at P19. He's currently clawing his way back up. He was at P26, I believe, when we last saw him take that unfortunate sadness on the track.
Yep, so obviously, because he's Pro-Am, he might have a little bit more pace than some of the AM drivers around, so trying to get past Frizzer. He's got his own battle going on at the moment, so maybe he might get a 2-for-1 here. He's got 4.5 minutes to do it.
Fastest time for Spangler right now is a 42.669.
So we jump on board with the Bentley that's got the steering wheel on the right side of the car.
And also has the slickest rim that's going to come out in the Fanatec line.
I have seen that, and that looks very impressive, but well outside my budget.
That'll probably be a cool, I don't know, 1500, I would assume, especially with that screen on it.
We talking American or?
Yeah, USD.
Yeah, so it'll be like 4.6 million Australian dollars then. Import tax always hikes the prices up here.
The wheel itself, $2,000. Shipping it, $1 million.
Yeah, basically. Meanwhile, Alvarado has skipped out on Portis now, 1.7 seconds, so he's looking pretty comfortable out in front. Portis doing everything he can to hold Dornelis behind. Is he just maybe saving the tyres a little bit for an attack on the last lap, or has he spent his tyres early?
He's fairly consistent. He just pulled a 141.5. So, knowing that, going into race 2, do you think that we'll start to see these times climb a little bit? Maybe not necessarily so many 41s, more so pushing a race pace of low to mid 42s to preserve those tires?
Potentially. I mean, better drivers than me can manage tyres. I know that when I'm in the car, it's basically I just try and drive it as fast as I can.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really try and manage the tyres too much because I'm just not that competent a driver.
Well, that makes two of
But
us, so no shame whatsoever.
yeah, so when the tyres are gone, they're gone. That's it. Whether it's on the last lap or with 10 laps to go, it's usually how the cookie crumbles for me.
I'm going to go ahead and switch over to Blaine Hall, who is a debutant on the Sprint Series. He just moved up from the rookies this week.
He's doing quite well leading the AM class at the moment.
Yeah, he was quite a speedy boy on Tuesday night.
Yeah, he's sitting in the top 10, trying to chase down Alves. So we just hear this is the final lap, so any attacking moves got to be done now.
Watch him cross the finish line, then we'll jump back up on board with Dornelis, see if he can make a move. Blaine Hall coming across the line with a 42 flat nearly. Welcome to Sprints, Blaine.
Can't imagine he would have been in rookies long.
No, 6 rounds or so?
Yep.
Very quick though. Definitely at the pointy end, week after week.
Yeah, you hate it when they just come out of rookies after 6 weeks and they're quicker than you.
This guy's new? What the hell?
Yeah, well, yeah. You're in the top 10? Why aren't you finishing like P22 like the rest of us did when we first started?
My first and only race this season, I had P20, I think, and I was ecstatic. I was like, oh yes, this is so cool.
Ornelas is really on the back of Portis now. You think his last chance is going to be in the last turn. Alvarado has got this sewn up. Here we go. Let's see what kind of run Dornelis has. Make the way through Cheetah. Dornelis a little bit wider, but I don't think he's going to have enough. It is going to be a Honda 1-2. Alvarado takes the win from Portis. Dornelis will take P3. Light Guy in the Bentley P4, just in front of Saidi. And there's your top 5. Alves did manage to hold off Hall, who will take the Pro-Am win. The Am win, sorry. Carpenter, a very solid P2. And Dag is going to hold off Landry enough. Landry will round out the 10.
Good showing. I'm very impressed. Blaine coming out of the gates. P7, debutante race.
Yeah, that is a mighty impressive effort. Start to see Spangler. He will finish P18.
Good drive on his part too. He made up about 8 positions coming off of that crash.
Then
We'll
we'll
finish with some points.
start to see some of the drivers that did have incidents. As you can see, some of them carrying penalties, so that will shake up the finishing positions a little bit.
Oh, Matty Boy coming with a bouncing bonnet. You hate to see
Yeah,
it.
that's not a good sign. That does not count as extra aero.
Or style points for that matter.
Yeah. This might be our last on-track finisher.
Now, despite Adolfo's finish there at P27, he had some very quick pace. His fastest lap was a 1:43.84. So it's still quick. It just goes to show you how fast you really need to be to finish at the pointy end here.
Yeah, speed and consistency. That's you can. There's been a lot of drivers I've watched, and they can put in some absolute dynamite lap time. But it's the ones that can do it lap after lap. They're the ones that usually will come out on top.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they're a little bit slower, but if they can consistently put the same lap times down and be pretty close, a lot better than being quick one lap and then losing 8 or 9 tenths a second. So we're going into our reverse grid qualifying.
Makes it a bit spicier. Which do you prefer, Frank? Do you like the longer sprint style or the super sprint, where you had the mix up of the 20 and 40 minute?
I've always, the longer the better for me. I'm kind of driver that no matter how much practice I do, once I'm on track, it usually takes me a while to get into a groove where I'm happy with the level that I'm driving at.
Mm-hmm.
So anything short of about 6 hours for me is not long enough, in my opinion.
Right.
But yeah, super sprints are good if you are up the pointy end and you're not defending for as long. But I much prefer the longer race just to get a rhythm going.
So you said 6 hours long. Unless you feel an incredibly awful cramp in your calf, then it's not a good race. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's basically it. If I'm not admitted to hospital straight after the race, then was it really a race? Is what I'm saying. Thank you for thanks for the follow and sub. Action Reaction Entertainment.
Gabriel Marsan is going to finish his outlap, start to put some numbers on the board, and remember, P1 in qualifying is fighting for P13. So when you come out of qualifying and you wonder, why aren't I in the position that I qualified at? Reverse order. And I don't know that we're still lining up. We've never had a race where everyone can line up. The safety car generally leaves once P20 leaves the pits.
It's like every split. It's like herding cats. You can never get them to do what you want.
No
the line has never happened.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like Portal, where the cake is a lie, but the cake for us is stubby holders.
Yep. No one's ever seen them. Nobody knows they exist.
Alright, guy, thanks for stopping in. You remind me of the driver from Ricky Bobby when he stops and eats at the Burger King there. Oh yeah, the race is great! You guys go ahead and wash the car. I'll be there in like 20 minutes.
Yeah. There was a driver. I don't know if it was in ACC, but it was one of the series that I used to run. He was on a pad, and he'd be racing, and somehow would manage to type out full sentences in chat at the same time.
While he was racing?
I don't know. While he was racing, while he was piloting a car around the circuit, and I'm not talking like, abbreviated 3-word sentences. I'm talking full paragraphs into the either voice chat or team chat at the same time. And I do not know how he did it.
And you said with a gamepad, so like an Xbox or PlayStation controller.
Yeah, so I think pretty sure he was a pad, but still, that's mighty impressive. Pad or wheel, sit there and type and concentrate and drive at the same time. So we see Vasquez putting a 141.6.
It's certainly tough to pull off.
Oh, you need a third arm, surely.
Depending on the rig, I've been able to type very quickly, like, oh, sorry. But beyond that, I might as well be going into the wall.
Yeah, no, these were like university dissertations length of conversations he was having.
Oh, by the way, here's my resume, my job
Yeah.
experience.
By the way, guys, what do you think of the Middle East peace process?
Let's get a juicy discussion going. It's just qualifying.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just doing 300 down the straight.
No big deal. All right, guy.
Yeah.
Good to see you in chat. Best of luck going into the 40-minute sprint.
The only thing I can think of, he's got one of those speech to text programs.
And he's just
Like
yelling at his computer.
Yeah, he's just talking to his computer and it's just writing it all down.
Oh, I can't remember the actor's name. Who played Lego Batman? Pewter.
Yeah.
Tell driver this.
Yeah. What's his name from Arrested Development?
Yes.
I can't. I can picture him and I can't think of his name. That's horrible.
Help us out, chat. Who plays Lego Batman? Who is the actor's name? What is the actor's name? Jumping back into race mode, we have Bruno Vasquez topping off the qualifying 2 charts with a 141.547. And followed by 7 other contenders there within a second. Tatus Lucas at qualifying P2 and Andrew Sear at P3. Will Arnett.
That's it. Yes,
Boom.
thank you.
Good looks.
Because I was seriously, I was going to Google that in 2 seconds because it was going to annoy the shit out of me.
Mm-hmm. So Frank, are you joining me with a morning bourbon, or is it a little too early still?
No. There's a thing about drinking in the morning here, and you know, it's usually if you're doing it, you usually should be being sat down and told you might have a problem.
I was gonna say, are you going with the you can't drink all day unless you start in the morning?
Well, as I said,
Nah, I kid. Oof.
Oh, as we see a Honda round, just managing to avoid it.
Looks like that was Casey Gold.
See what Spangler, you got to think he's going to be looking to charge his way up the field to race 1. Once again, the Honda's showing they're pretty strong around this track in North America Split.
Yeah. They've been quite pointy. I know Bathurst was where they truly showed out. If I recall correctly, it was about a 15 to 20 second gap between the two speedy boys that we had in the last round, Nicholas Alvarado and Kenneth Portis.
Yeah, it's a long, well-known secret that the Hondas are pretty strong at Bathurst, but it doesn't translate to some of the other circuits where you think it should, like Paul Ricard.
That
with
is
its
true.
big, long straight. You'd think it'd translate over, but it doesn't quite.
The BOP has been quite friendly to them. Curious to see if that changes within the next year.
The thing about this game, and a little bit of the meta about what has the best BOP. So early on, the Porsche seemed to have the best running over the series of tracks. It was definitely not the strongest at certain tracks, but overall it was probably the better package. But now starting to see a lot of love for the McLaren, Ferrari as well. So just one of those things that's just ever evolving. So it looks like Vasquez will take the pole of the rest, I suppose you could call it.
Yeah, it looks like Tatus Lucas also improved there on his last lap, so he will be at P15. Yep. I had to do the reverse grid math. All right. As for some other noticeable moves that we have in the standings from North America Blue, Alloy Ike guy, who we just saw in the chat there, moved up 3 positions to P12, so he's knocking on the door of the top 10. Colin Johnson moved up to P16, jumping up 4 positions from P20. Nick Amon moves up to P18. Jackson Tomasco moves up to P21, busting out 13 spots over 1 week, and he's going to be the big move of the week for me. Matthew Voisin moves up to P22, busting up 4 spots, and then Marcus Flavio to P25, moving up 3 spots. So regardless of what positions you are, making moves is always good, and the North American Blue splits have been fairly fluid. Top 10 has always been changing, and then beyond that, we have people shuffling around consistently. So it's always good to see.
Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube and enjoy the content. We have races all over the place, multiple times during the week. We also do special events like Enduros, and we've got an Enduro series coming up as well. So be on the lookout, a lot more content to come.
Yeah, like Frank said, if you're in North America, you're interested in endurance racing, we have a new series coming up in about a month and a half now, starting the first weekend of September. Endurance series, which will have 24 minutes of qualifying, 12 minutes per driver, teams of 2 with 1 reserve driver, and then the race will consist of a 180-minute race and 3 mandatory pit stops, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right, Frank?
Yeah, I believe it's about the 3. So 3-hour race with 3 pit stops. We start to watch the grid get called out for their starting position. So the top 12 will be reversed from their finishing position. And then everyone else after that will be determined by the qualifying session we just had. So race winners, they'll be in the mid-pack. So that's the thing. You win the race, and then all of a sudden you are going to be surrounded by cars as you come into turn 1.
Congratulations. Go to the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
I don't know, Frank. How's that looking to you?
Well, I've never won a normal round. Like I have managed to snag a reverse grid race previously, but it seems like a bum deal to me. I think, you're consistently fast, and then all of a sudden, potential death awaits you into turn 1. So,
well, as you saw there, we nearly had a straight line. Had a couple of stragglers at the back there that wanted to stand out. Almost. We were so close.
It's never gonna. There's always going to be something.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be one time, and then there'll be a bad net code that'll push a car out and ruin it. There'll always be something. Malik has ordained it so he doesn't have to hand out free stubby holders.
He's simply made the most difficult task with the most amount of cars on any grid that we have at a time.
Yep.
Speaking of netcode issues, did you see the picture? This was months ago. One of the North American rookie drivers was in the Bentley, and it looks like he was in Ron Weasley's car from Harry Potter, and he had taken flight, and he was midway over Nürburgring.
I think I do see that picture. Sorry. Yeah. Was that netcode, or did he just get some serious air?
So he disconnected. It wasn't air at all. It was just he was driving, then the car just took flight.
Yeah,
and off he went.
I have called a couple of races where there has been a disconnection, and that's basically what they do. It's like Aladdin's magic carpet. They just float skyward for some reason, and I don't know why that is.
Free
I'm sure. Yeah, basically they just seem to point up and go straight. So I suppose it's my turn to call the
Yes,
start of
sir.
this one.
Take it away. Who would you like to follow?
We'll follow from about P4 or 5-ish, because you can usually get the front two, as well as more of the mid-pack, which is where the action's going to be as they approach the line. It will be a bit of a delay. They wait for P13 to cross the line. And they're off. So a fairly short run into turn one now. So easily defensive move from the Aston. Now going through wide. Pretty clean at the moment. Nothing touching. A bit of a send from the Porsche on the inside. At the back there, but they're all through pretty clean. The two Hondas are there together as well. But at the moment, it is going to be the Aston that is going to hold off the Nissan. And then you've got Landry and Dag having a battle too now as they approach sunset for the first time, make their way up to club. And it looks like everybody is through the first couple of corners with no incident. That is a good start.
Let's go ahead and
Although
jump back into P18 just to see how the rest of the grid is going. And take it away, Frank.
Yeah, just seeing the car 47 around at the back. That is Hall, I think, in the McLaren. It is. So, see a little bit of damage there as we have a look back through the field. Oh, there's a bit of a send there. That's Lucas getting a move done. Lucas, sorry, getting the move done. You'll normally see, and there's going to be contact. There is, and they're round, and there's a Ferrari also in the background there as well. So it's like Crocodiles has caught out a lot of drivers. Saw a big old send, and there's a Bentley still around as well as the Porsche trying to get back on track, but too much traffic and had to take avoiding action, and there is no traction and just manages to avoid hitting the trailing McLaren. So as it usually happens in these reverse grid races, you have a mix of talent and things can happen.
So do you think with that rejoin he'll catch a 5-second penalty? It did look a bit unsafe.
It did look unsafe. He didn't get back onto the track, but I think that was only because he suddenly saw a whole bunch of cars streaming up the inside that were on the racing line. This is why you have the full map kids, not just the localized race map. Meanwhile, Carpenter, he's got Dag behind him. Sorry, Sadie. Dag's in front. So that BMW, Sadie's been pretty deadly this round so far.
He's a speedy boy in the Beamer. So now Ducky gets on board with my 5 wide idea. Okay, I see how it is.
So Kogan in the Nissan currently leads the race. Managed to get past Amador.
$141.
We have another yellow too at Crocodiles again. That is car 34.
Let's jump back to
So
it. We'll do a replay. Benjamin Hobb.
Yeah. I think
can't select him.
As he drops completely. I think he might be gone.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Might be the old Alt F4. So, just having a look through the field, some of these other battles. White guy currently holding off Don Ellis. That's going to be a tough ask. Meanwhile, Portis and Alvarado, the 1 and 2 from race 1, they're currently sitting P10 and 11, so they haven't moved very far in the early going of this race so far. So Don Ellis has a good chance to put a bit of gap between himself and the 2 Hondas.
We might have another debutante at the pointy end right now following Tommy Kogan. I'm going to go ahead and go on board with Jeffrey Amador. Wearing the AM badge. I believe he is new. Name is not familiar. Jeffrey, if you've raced with us, I apologize. If you have not, welcome. And Frank, I think I already crushed the commentator curse tonight.
Oh, did we have one early, did we?
We did. So I talked up Blaine Hall a lot after his excellent finish in the 20-minute sprint. And then he ended up in last place after lap 1, I believe. He was the McLaren that went off.
Yep.
Yeah, so he's back at P24. He's in the pits right now. We'll see what he can come up with. Still plenty of time, but as this is not a mandatory pit stop race, that would be quite challenging to come back from.
I think he was also the McLaren that just avoided getting murdered by the Porsche coming back onto the track as well. So it's been an interesting race for him so far. Meanwhile, this trio of cars, Dag, Kamada and Saidi,
This duo right here is an old school rookie battle between Thomas Dagg and Austin Carpenter. Came up from the North America rookies a few months ago. Austin Dagg new this season, or sorry, combine their names. Thomas Dagg came up last season in the rookie, so he was a debutant in season 5 of the Sprint Series, and Austin Carpenter came up in season 6.
So for those watching that probably don't know what rookies and the sprint, what the difference, the rookies is sort of, if you're new to sim racing and you haven't done it before and you want to get involved and want to learn but don't want to have all the pressures. We see Sadie, I think, getting a move done on Carpenter. We'll take P4, has done. Rookie Series is a great way to learn. It's not as much pressure. You're not racing hardened veterans and provide support on helping you get to grips with online racing. And then once you spend a bit of time there and you're confident and you feel comfortable, then get you into the Sprint Series. So it's just a bit of a way to learn, because it can be a little bit daunting going immediately into these sort of series with all these faster drivers around you and sort of not knowing what to do. So if you are interested, get involved.
Certainly helps out your racecraft too, going from public lobbies of drivers that want to murder you in lap 1.
Yeah.
So it is very helpful getting in the rookie series. You get to learn quite a bit. If you become a Patreon member, you can join in on the walkthroughs, which is hosted by Cam and Sean. Certainly a good resource, helps you learn the track, but you don't only learn the track, you learn how the cars react, why they do what they do, and that helps you build your racecraft across any car that you use and any track that you race.
Yeah. Because we must point out there is a huge difference between league racing and public lobbies. It is virtually night and day on the way you sort of race and conduct yourself.
It was a breath of fresh air when I joined, I know. The less murderous activity that I was used to, I was glad to put that on the back burner.
It's like going from a prison to a country club.
Spot on. You join, you're like, wow, people are nice to me here. This is different.
Wow. No, he didn't use me as a break into turn 1.
Not only did he use me as a break, but he didn't blame me. What?
Yeah. Anyway, back to... Sorry, I was about to say, this Bentley battle is getting pretty spicy. And this one also, on the Porsche of Andrew, I'm pretty sure I'm going to pronounce his wrong, sir. Is that?
Sear.
Sear, sorry. As he tries to get past Tomasco, and he's also got Marcon as well in his sights. Gets a good drive out of the last corner. So does Tomasco though. Is Marcon going to lose 2 spots in one corner? We'll see. He goes super defensive, but this opens you up to get around the outside because he squeezes Tomasco and he's had to send it straight through the corner. Missed his brake mark. So that's 1 spot for Andrew. Can he
That
get
was a
2?
high IQ move right there. In terms of Marsan coming into that turn, super narrowly. I made a new word, yes I know. But did not open that turn up as wide as you generally should, sending Tomasco right off of the track. Tomasco's pace is certainly showing here as he's on the bumper of Sear. But that was mighty impressive.
Yeah, he's just got to be careful he doesn't just move a little bit too much in the braking zone, as we do monitor that. So as long as he was holding his line as they get super close into the hairpin. It's, now the Honda in the background there is going to try to make this 4-way battle. A couple of different lines you can take through Mineshaft there as you approach Crocodiles. I know some people like to take it fairly wide and then go narrow, whereas some like to hook back into the left hand side of Crocodiles. Depends on the car.
I was about to ask, what's your method through Crocodiles?
I'm usually running slower out of Mineshaft and getting right over to the left.
Okay.
And hooking the car back around.
Gotcha. So not even, you're far left. You don't even take mid left. Got it.
Yeah, no, I'm going left and then around through Crocodiles. The only thing it does open up to be sent on, and some people don't realise that you're actually still making the corner. They think you've gone wide, and I think it's an opportunity. So there is a little bit of risk with that.
A little switcheroo.
Exactly.
So we're on board with Nicholas Amon, currently sitting at P18 in the driver's standings, in P17 and the second race tonight. This is another debutant to Season 6, not necessarily the race tonight, but he was a rookie in last season, moving his way up. He has been marching up the standings.
He's also got his teammate who's also an AM class in the same car, so this will be a fairly good battle, you think? Same class, same car. Will there be some team orders, or will they be left to fight it out for the next 25 minutes? We will see.
So in terms of race pace right now, Nicholas Amon has a better best lap, 43.272, and Chris Frizza at a 43.632. Granted, race pace, Frizza had him on that last lap in the high 43s, Nick sitting in the low 44s. So this is certainly a narrow track. You really have to pick and choose where you want to attempt to attack. We got a Bentley off track right there.
Yeah, that's Carpenter. He's dropped. He was in one of the leading groups, and now all the way down into what, P18. So I wonder what's happened there, because he was well up the field.
Possibly the curb. Bumper looks a bit messed up in the front there.
Yeah,
Not
so he's
terrible.
tagged something. So that's unfortunate for Carpenter. He's on track for a decent result. Just see he's struggling with that Bentley at the moment. Don't know if he's just trying to get the tyres back or he's just lost some front end grip from the damage.
Jump back on board with him in a few laps, see where he ends up. Meanwhile, it looks like the Aston battle here is just about where we left it. Looks like Nick thought that he would be able to get a better exit, but a little bit slow coming down the home stretch. Is that Ingwe? Is that right? Turn 16?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, I'm pretty sure that. Yeah, sorry, I've just trigged on what you were actually referring to. Yes, I believe that's correct.
Okay. I had no clue if I was pronouncing it correctly. I know not to pronounce things correctly, so just wanted to check.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I murdered everybody's name here tonight, but that's on me.
Ah, it's all good. We love to have you here.
So, just having a look. I wonder if here is our race one winner currently sitting at the moment.
Race
on
one.
track. Can't see his name in. Has something happened to Alvarado?
Possibly disconnected. We are down a few drivers. I don't see Alvarado.
Yeah. Because Portis is now on the back of Don Ellis. So that's a fight that's going to get pretty spicy very shortly. Amador still leading. He's only holding on by 2/10, so it's going to be a battle for P1, and then P5, 6, and 7 are also going to be pretty spicy.
Yes. Still got some new faces up in the top 4. Alloy Ike guy is certainly a quick driver, but I believe P4 is the highest he's been on pole. Or on the pole currently. And then as for Faraz Saidi, he had a podium a few weeks ago at Donington, if I recall correctly. Possibly Zolder. Getting my races mixed up.
He's carrying a 15-second penalty, so I don't think he's going to get a podium tonight.
No, that would be quite tough. Unless he pulls a Gunther, right? Did you see what he said?
No,
So,
I did not.
I don't know if it was an interview or a tweet, but he said, I don't care what the race stewards do as long as they are consistent. And if it's only 10 seconds for taking out an opponent, then if we have a 190-second penalty at the end of the race, then who gives a shit? We'll win. Would you expect any less from Gunther Steiner?
No. That's very on brand for him.
Yep. Quite
My
hilarious.
guy looking, he's one of the better characters in Formula One.
Agreed.
Some of the team principals could walk away, and I would not shed a tear.
Ducky in the chat. Gunther is my spirit animal.
Yeah. Gunther is everyone who's ever been a boss of like really incompetent employees.
Says whatever he wants.
Yeah, it's like, why can't you just be good drivers and not crash into each other? Like that whole time when I think it was Grosjean and Magnussen kept running into each other, and you just tell he just wanted to shoot both of them.
Yeah. And you saw the gift that he gave to Nikita this year, right?
Yeah, spinning top.
Yep. Spin this, not the fucking cop.
Yeah.
You're halfway through. Keep pushing.
It's a tough gig to be in that Haas team because probably got less money than Williams. They're not developing the car in any way, shape, or form, and you got two rookie drivers. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure ownership is going to change here in a year or two as well.
Yeah, I think Gene's getting out of it.
Yeah. Which, as an American fan, is unfortunate, but they have been quite garbage since, what, 2017 when they had their inaugural season?
Yeah, there's 1 or 2 seasons, but that was probably also corresponding with when the Ferrari engines were good.
Yeah.
And they were getting a lot of help from Ferrari to get started, and then I think A, that support stopped, or B, Ferrari wasn't really helping anything in Formula One at that point. So, yeah, unfortunately, Formula One is a game of dollars, and
Could change up a tiny bit.
yeah, I think Gene probably underestimated the amount of money you need to spend in Formula One too. I don't think he came fully prepared to match it with the McLarens and Red Bulls. As we watch Dag have a half look at Gould here.
Casey Gold and P9. That is another driver that we have not seen in the top 10 very frequently. Good to see.
Doing quite well in that Honda. Representing the H badge quite well. You have another yellow. That's car 11, which is Masson. He has gone straight to the pits, so he has either got damage or he's decided to call it a night as we watch a replay.
Must be a curb.
Yep. So he's all right, and he's just starting to lose the rear, and it just snapped on him.
The death snap. That sucks.
Yep. Snapped harder than Thanos there, and straight into the wall for you. Meanwhile, this battle between the teammates and classmates still going on.
I don't know if it's a battle or necessarily a shake and bake type deal. They've been creeping up the pole there. They were at, correct me if I'm wrong, was it 16 and 17 a few laps back?
Yeah, I believe you're right, and they're currently hunting down Sia in that Porsche. So maybe they are working together, although the different line taken by Omone there looks like he's having a half look and maybe trying to put a little bit pressure on Frieza.
Mowed the lawn a tiny bit there inside of Sunset. That'll slow him down. Looks like he had a late break there. Going through Clubhouse and then bringing him into the S's. Looks like they're sticking together quite well.
Well, if you're looking at your relative to the guy in front and it's coming down with you following your teammate, then you're more likely to stick there. But if it feels like he's holding him up, you think there'll be a move get done.
So we're going to watch this battle through the finish line here, or the home straight rather, and then we'll jump back up to Kenneth Portis, who is currently trailing Ike Guy 2 tenths behind. Did Nick Amo get the move around? Is he going to take position? It looks like he will.
Yeah, great move. I think Frizzle just went a little bit deep. I had to pull the car up a little bit more and just allowed teammate to get the job done. So we'll see what he can do leading the duo. If he can potentially catch up to that Porsche that's just down the road a little bit quicker. Well, this is a fairly spicy looking battle now. Portis has got in front of Light Guy. And still sticking with the back of Dornelis. Portis. So they start to pick their way through some of the guys that were in front due to the reverse grid rules. Sadie, he's got to make that Beamer as wide as he can to hold off that McLaren. As he sweeps around the outside, it does go wider. Oh, almost contact. Does well. Now Cheetah. What's going to happen here? They go side by side. That's impressive driving that no one caused contact there. And now Porter sees an opportunity. He's going to try and muscle his way into P1 as they approach the start-finish line. But that pull of the Beamer just maybe going to hold him in good enough stead as he covers off, sends Portis to the inside and manages to hold him off. So Dornelis gets a little bit of a break. He gets the move done, but he manages to keep Sadie between himself and Portis. Oh, Sadie loses it on the curbs. Just pushed it a little bit too hard and lost the rear and into the wall, so that's unfortunate for him. He now wants to be very careful on how he rejoins, as those tyres will be screaming a little bit. There'll be not as much grip. He needs to just work on getting the car back into its operating temperature. So Kenneth Portis now, he's got rid of the Beamer in front that was separating him from Dornelis. These guys now 2.5 seconds from the leading pair.
Uh-oh. What is going on here? Looks like I'm having some network issues. Please hold. There we go. See, like you said, Frank, starting to see the guys who are in the reverse order grid that started in P12, P13, climbing their way back up the grid. Dornelis, who finished at P2 last race, is currently P3 behind Jeffrey Amador and Tommy Kogan. Curious to see how Tommy Kogan can defend against Dornelis. Let's go on board there.
Well, he's in one of the bigger looking cars, so sometimes appearances can be everything. It makes it look like there's not a move there. Yeah, potentially on one of the smaller cars. You could squeak it through, but he's got to be very clean. He really wants to put Amador between himself and Dornelis. As Dornelis is approaching fairly quickly.
Alright, bear with me. Take it away, Frank. I'm working on some technical difficulties on my end.
Yep, no worries. I'll call what I can as Dornelis now. Yeah, as Ducky says in chat, looks like it's going to be a three-way fight. Amador's doing well to hold off the likes of Kogan and Ornelis, Amador in the AM class, holding off the pros. So he's got to do it for another 10 minutes, which is going to be a big ask. Meanwhile, Portis in the background there, all these guys get held up. He's going to involve himself in this fight, and it's probably going to be a four-way fight to the end. It's like he's 1.5 seconds off the back. Actually 2 seconds now, so Portis probably wants to get himself up to this back to buy himself a ticket to this last couple of minute battle. Meanwhile, Amador doing everything he can to hold off the chasing pack behind. He's led for a fair chunk of this race. As Kogan now looks at a move on the inside, Amador leaves him the space. Now it's going to be a drag race through Mineshaft into the Crocodiles. Said you can take different lines through here. Can Amador hold on? He's going to take the narrow wide. He's going to force Kogan wide. Kogan's going to sweep around the outside and will take the lead of this race into Cheetah. Great move by Kogan there to hold on, and now Don Ellis is looking to throw a move on the inside of Kogan as well. So Amador going to lose 2 spots in 2 corners, and Portis as well. He's going to do the big old drag, follow it in the slipstream down the main straight as they go 3 wide into turn 2. And it looks like Amador is going to go from P1 to P4. So did amazing work for the best part of half an hour, but pace of the trio in front has just meant he is going to fall off the podium, but he needs to be there. He can't just throw in the towel and drift away, because if something happens between any of these 3 guys, he will be in the box seat to pick up a podium.
Yeah, you never know what can happen through Cheetah, especially on the last lap. It has been known to catch some drivers out there with the immense curb that it has. So we could certainly pick something up there towards the end of the race. As we are gearing down, we have about 7 minutes and 50 seconds remaining.
Amador, he's not letting go of Portis in front. He was actually looking like putting some pressure on him through sector 1. So he's just got to stay there. He's also got Light Guy also following very closely, so just needs to hang in there. And it's when you're an AM driver surrounded by some of the more experienced drivers, can be a little bit overwhelming, but at the moment he's standing up to the pressure.
Go ahead and jump back down to our Aston battle between Frizza and Amon. Looks like Frizza was able to overtake Amon. Which lap, I do not know. But this battle still continues. Nick Amon about 1.2 seconds behind Frizza.
Yeah, Frizza being able to open a little bit of a gap with 6 minutes to go. Amon also now got Flavio chasing behind in that Nissan.
We got Ducky in the chat. Do we think tires are an issue at this point for Amador? I would say yes, as he does go back to P3, slowly moving back up and back down.
Yep. So what's happened there? Can't see. He's just in the background there, so something must have happened to the timing screen. He's got his hands full with Light Guy now. He's trying to move himself up into that P4. As I said, those three cars, they're going to have an absolute battle in the last couple of laps. And if there's any contact and anything unfortunate happens, there's a podium in the offering. So he's got to do everything he can to stay with those three. As we look, see ahead, there's a move from Dornelis. He's now got Portis behind for P1 and 2. So these two will now resume their battle from race 1.
So if Dornelis pulls out the win here, he could get some commanding points back into the driver's standings, bringing him potentially back to P1 or at least close to contending for it. And I would need to check. He may still be in P1, so I may be blowing hot air. In the corner, backside there, you see Tommy Kogan in P3, trailing behind Kenneth Portis. And at this point, with about 4.5 minutes, I would assume that we have 4 laps.
Yeah, 3 or 4 laps. Yeah, 3 or 4 laps to go, I think. What are they doing? About 1 minute 40?
Yeah, possibly 3.
So, yeah. 2 laps will be just over 3 minutes. Yeah. I think about 3 laps to go by the time they come around. What can Portis do? Can he look at a move on Dornelis, who has tyres left now? You can see Dornelis does have a decent enough gap. It would be a fairly big send to try and get the move done here. So, what has everyone been saving? Portis probably didn't make as quick as a charge through the rest of the field as what Dornelis did. Was that by design, or does Portis have a little bit of tyre life left, whereas Dornelis maybe took his out a little bit early to get track position?
Looks like last lap Dornelis did run a bit quicker. He had a high 41, and then Kenneth Portis on the bottom, you can see, nearly ran a 42 flat. So similar pace. Certainly, these two cars both being mid-engine, I would assume that the sectors that they are strongest at will be quite similar.
Yeah, 42 flats on 40-minute-old tyres is not bad going.
Mm-mm. Jump back down to Jeffrey Amador as he trails Tommy Kogan. See the exit he gets out of here. Ningwe. Looks clean so far. Tommy
Yeah, he's
Kogan also
right
had a decent exit.
Yeah, right under the rear wing there of Kogan as they come through the last corner. So he's not going away. There's a half look, trying to fill the mirrors of the Nissan.
Jeffrey Amador is certainly in a difficult position right now, as he has Alloy Aikai half a second behind him, while also attempting to fight for his podium position, maiden podium position. So
Yeah,
he's
he's
just knocking at the door.
Yeah, he certainly is. I think this is probably one of his best opportunities at the moment. They're probably going to come around for one more lap after this.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if he's just trying to see where Kogan is fast and where there's potential opportunity. And this is one of them, heavy braking zone at Lee Coop. And then the downhill run through Mineshaft towards the Crocodiles. This looks like that Nissan's just understeering just a little bit compared to the Aston, although he took a little bit of cheater there than he probably would have liked, but not enough to unsettle the car too much.
There's a final lap there.
Does mean that probably didn't get the run through the last corner that he would have wanted, but now this is his last chance to steal himself onto the podium, as he has a look with a massive send. That was from a fairly long way away, manages to pull the car up, so no damage done. But he's going to feel like he has to get a move done sooner rather than later. Now all in the final lap. Dornell is still managing to hold off Portis in P1 and 2 at the moment, but this is the battle we're watching at the moment.
Let's go ahead and hop back up to Kenneth Portis, and then we'll jump back. As we move through the S's.
Yeah, Dornell is looking like he's doing enough at the moment. Manages to steal a couple of car lengths towards the hairpin. I think Portis' last opportunity now. He might have a shot through Crocodiles, and if not, it's going to be the last. What's he going to do? Oh, closes right up under brakes. Try to carry as much speed as he can as they approach Cheetah. But it looks like Dornellis has done enough. He is going to take the race 2 win in front of Portis.
Has finished the race.
And we watch Kogan is going to hold on to Amador. Will finish P4. Like Guy at P5. Vasquez in 6th, but he's probably going to lose a couple, at least one. And then it's Alves Saidi also with pens, so he's going to probably drop some spots. Dag will finish P9.
Welcome back to the top 10, Dag. Good to see you there again. A few guys across the line that we missed there. Andrew Sear in the Porsche, P10. Casey Gold, P11. Good finish there, Casey. I believe that's his best finish of the season so far. Nick Amon and then Frizza. Frizza finishing that battle at P12. Amon at P3. Flavio P14. Carpenter 15. Tadas Lucas 16. Jeff Spangler 17 there. Looks like he had a bit of a hard time in the second race here. Adolfo BC P19. And yes, lo and behold, my cursed victim, Blaine Hall.
Yep. So there we have it. There is Split Blue done.
That is a wrap. Is that Matty Boy coming across the finish line? It is indeed. And that is a wrap. Once we get the next session loaded, we'll take a look at the times. Ducky in the chat, excellent showing this race. I completely agree.
Green light, go, go, go.
Very good showing. All right, Frank, take a look at the timetables. If you want to go through race 1, I'll take race 2.
Okay. For the AM class, we have Hall, who finished P1 in front of Carpenter, Amador, Hillengoods, and then in the overall, Pro-Am, Alvarado, Light Guy, Saidi were your top 3 in race 1. And overall, Alvarado managing to hold on over his teammate Portis and Dornellis, Light Guy, Saidi, Alves, Hall, Carpenter, Dag, Landry were your top 10, and then Kogan, Amador, Hillengoods, Lucas, Hassar, Sear, Frizza, Spangler, Anderson. They will be your top 19, and then Hobay.
Sorry, for timing reasons, we'll jump over to race 2.
Rightio.
Race 2, AM class, we have Amador P1, Freza P2, Amon P3, Pro-Am, Ike Guy P1, Alves P2, Vasquez P3, and again, the overall Dornelis, Portis, and Kogan take up your podium positions. And now we are going to go ahead and swap over to North America Red Split. As we wait. So, yeah, fun fact. The broadcast controller crashed on me 10 minutes left. So this new PC will be nice to
Green light.
have.
Give it all you can.
All right, let's go ahead and go to the track. And we're live again. Welcome to North America Red Split, ladies and gents. We're rounding up qualifying. It looks like fastest pace right now is Zach Patterson with a 140.998.
I think once again the Hondas showing their worth here this week. Just managed to sneak into the 1 minute 40s. Barnes just putting in a P2, and Weeks also now goes P2, 3/10 behind. So times are starting to come in.
Let's go ahead and hop on board with Snell Train. He is another speedy boy in the red split. And with the McLaren, which Dornelis showed was quite deadly in the North America blue split.
Certainly was. Been a very, very deadly car overall as McLaren. Last few patches, it was always a good car, but it was major failing was the brakes. Just allowed you to just be overtaking and under braking a lot of the time, but gotten a lot better at that, and it is been a very deadly weapon in the right hands.
Well, as long as you can rely on the arrow for, what, 90% of what you do, you're in good hands, right?
Yeah.
Take a look at the chat real quick. Oh, we have Ike Guy joining us. Welcome in, Ike Guy. Good racing there. Dave Hill, how you going? We'll see if Sam Snell Train can better his times. We do have a new P1. Looks like Cardin Liu has taken P1 with a 140.635. Snell Train betters his time up to P3 with a 140.953.
And I think we've got a new commentator in the box. Dave, welcome.
Good evening, everyone.
How's it going?
Frustrating. Not very good racing from me tonight, but that's how it goes sometimes.
If you don't mind me asking, was it self-inflicted, or there was quite a bit of contact that we saw? Did you get collected there?
Yeah, first race, nothing major, but playing bumper cars for a bit at the start, after a good start. And then the second race, second lap, coming down the hill, the car just, I think, bottomed out, and I went for a spin. So physics decided I was going to have a bad time in that one, and then I was kind of all alone for the rest of the race.
That's unfortunate.
Qualifying has just finished. Everybody's just putting in their final laps. Lou still holds pole with a 140.6. Once again, in another Honda. Still worked on their setups this week.
Yeah, another 1-2 combo. Cardin Liu and Zach Patterson. One of the manufacturers that we have not seen at the pointy end too much in North America Blue Split, Lambo right here. Takis Weeks currently sitting at P4.
Yeah, and that's going to be the end of that lap. He just got too greedy at Cheetah, and it spat him out the other side of that corner. So that just shows you what happens when you get that corner just a little bit wrong.
This good to see him that far up the grid, though. It's been a few weeks since he's had a decent result.
Mm-hmm.
Someone just scooted in there. I don't know if that was Andy Meyer put in
Yes.
for P3.
Yep. He snuck just ahead of Sam Snelltrain there.
Yeah, that is a very fine margin there. And Landry, we saw just come across the line, pips Weeks at the last second. Weeks and Bourdon running the exact same lap time. 0.834 off the leader.
All right, so let's take a look. Honda's at the pointy end. Looks a little similar, Frank, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, very similar. There's two Hondas, a McLaren right behind it, a Porsche up there as well. Probably the only change is the Lambo, swap a Lambo for a Bentley or an Audi,
Yeah.
and you pretty much got it. So yeah, the Honda team must have worked on their setups pretty heavily for this track, because they've been very, very quick as a unit.
All right, so as we're waiting for the session start, we have about 55 seconds remaining. So we get the cars going around for their warm-up lap. Let's take a look at the standings. All right, so as it sits, top 10 currently for the North America Red Split. Simon Salomon is nearly 200 points ahead of Golzar, who is currently at P3. So Simon is at P1. Carden Liu is moving up to P2, who is currently in the lead at P1 for this race. Indy Meyer jumps up to P6, swapping with Sam Snelltrain, who is currently in P7. Ben Keogh moves up to P8, swapping with Cameron Sensano. And then Andrew Speck tops out the top 10, moving up 4 positions. So a bit of movement in North America Red. This split has been quite difficult to move through the ranks.
Keogh and Sassano, they've got their work cut out today, P16 and 19, so they'll have to get some moves done if they want to get a decent haul of points out of this race.
Yeah, I think race 1 might be a bit difficult. Hopefully, if I was Ben, I would say the goal would be P13, P12. Get that nice podium position going into race 2.
Yeah, it's such a difference between P12 and P13.
Mm-hmm. Just 12 positions, that's all.
Yeah. Just a lazy starting in mid-pack
Boo.
versus starting at the front of the grid.
Thanks, Dave.
So, no safety car for this split. Yeah. Let them organise themselves.
God help us.
Yep. It'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be fine.
It generally is. Taking a quick peek at chat as we are nearly halfway through the track right now. Chris White Oscar, you guys are killing it. If that's directed at us, we appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in.
So how many wide do we think we're going to see into turn 1 this time?
I'm sticking with 5. We haven't seen it yet.
I'll stick with 4.
Okay. Dave, do you have any predictions?
I feel like it's going to be one of those two, so let's wait and
enough.
see.
Sounds like a plan. Now, would you like to call race 1 or race 2?
Let's go for this one at least to start.
Put you in the middle of the
Let's
grid.
come around
with
the last
Taka
corner.
speed. Take it away.
Front of the pack, bunching up. Spread out a bit around that last corner, which always happens, but they get sorted out again. As they come to the line, and they are green. Porsche jumps to the inside right away. We've got 4. Don't think we're going to get 5 in this pack. We go 4 wide through turn 2. The McLaren drifts out a bit, but doesn't tag. Porsche kind of gets lost in the middle there, gets past the Ferrari. So go 1 by 1. Oh, a bit of shuffling in the back. I think there was some... Oh, as we've got Bentley off into the gravel. Comes way across the nose. Porsche sideways as well. BMW, I think, came off the Porsche as well. So a bit of bumping and banging in the backfield, but nothing major. I mean, the Bentleys had a bad time, but mostly self-inflicted, I think, from what I saw. I've got a Merc going very wide there. Not sure if that was a bump or just braking in traffic. Simon Salomon chasing down Snell Train here up to Leukop.
We just saw in the background there, BMW absolutely gets sent. Or got sent into, sorry. And yeah, that's going to be a fairly lonely race with these 20 minutes. It's not long to try and catch up to the back of this train. They start to make their way through around and finish the first lap. As Salomon in the Porsche looking at the back of Snell Train. This front group, apart from Lou, who's managed to steal a second gap through lap 1. Patterson has Mayer and Landry for company. This is the view back from Patterson as he looks rearward towards the chasing pack. Hello, Scope. How you going, mate? I think Scope picked up a win in the AP series the other night.
Congrats on the dub there.
Yeah, don't congratulate him too much.
Nah? Does that inflate his ego a bit too much?
No, it's huge.
Nah, he's helped me. So I'll fluff it up just a tiny bit. Just a skosh.
So, Mayer's starting to look at the rear of Patterson. Patterson just got to try and hold on to the rear of his teammate, because it's not a very long opening race, only 20 minutes. So if you've got to spend 3 to 4 laps trying to catch back up to the guy in front, that's a lot of time that you chewed up and not a lot left to get a move done. As you see there, Lou extending that to 1.2, so Patterson potentially having to be a little bit more defensive, trying to hold off Meyer behind.
We're going to drop one down to Simon Salomon right now. So as it stands, fastest lap is a 141.037, and that is placed by Cardin Liu, who's currently in P1. And pulling away at that. So Dave, I asked Frank before, do you have a particular car that you like whipping around this circuit? One that you find is stronger?
If I looked at my personal times, I think the BMW is up there, but that was older tires and older version of the track. Nissan felt decent. You could attack the curbs pretty easily. Didn't get out of control anywhere. The Porsche and the Audi both felt really good around here as well. Obviously, there's a danger factor involved with those two cars, but
Sure.
they go pretty good.
I mean, quite frankly,
It's just such
it
a fun
seems
track. I feel like any car feels like pretty good.
you stole the words out of my mouth. Yeah, no, it is a very fun track, and there's benefits to every kind of car here. And no matter what you're driving, you will enjoy it.
So, just on your previous race earlier today, what are your main corners you're looking at defending here? Because you don't necessarily have to defend in every corner, but there's obviously more opportunities at certain ones. What ones were you finding you were having to defend more aggressively than others?
I think people try into Lucop quite a bit, so the hairpin at the top of the hill. The last corner, I got a move done, so kind of defending there so that the straight doesn't come into play, making turn 2 an option. And then beyond that, Sunset, some people get a little brave and try and send it either around the outside or inside. So depending on how you get a run out of, what is that, turn 2, 3, 4, 5-ish onto the back straight, old pit straight. That's kind of a spot that you got to watch. Make sure your exit speed stays up. Ooh, we've got a Merc in the grass.
Do we have a number?
66 Lira. Down in P20 at the moment and still struggling. Looks like a very broken front end.
Yeah, that's a hard collect into that fence, I would say, judging by the way we caught the replay. And that's not going to be fun to drive with that amount of front end damage.
Well, I will say the one benefit to doing it in race 1 is you have race 2. If we want to look on the bright side.
Jump back live with Weeks. Currently following Snell Train. No, sorry, Landry. Sorry, in the Nissan.
Lou continuing to extend his lead out front. 1.8 seconds at the moment.
He's doing very well. Knows on a short race, if you can get 2 to 3 second gap, it'll make it hard to bridge with less than half the race to go. Yeah, while his teammate's got his hands full with that Porsche behind as well.
See on the bottom right of your screen, Cardin Lou just pulled his fastest lap of the race, 140.581. So running mid 40s right now. Go on board in the cockpit, see what he pulls out as he comes across Ingwe into the home straight. Looks like we got some penalties rolling in right now. 15 seconds for car 77. And that was likely due to the collision on lap 1. That's Andreas Specht in the Beamer. And as you just saw, Cardin Lou, not a fastest lap, but very close as he crosses the line there with a 140.614. So putting on a bit of a clinic as he is now a bit over 2 seconds from Zach Patterson.
Yeah, managed to extend that gap by a fair margin on that lap. He does have traffic coming up though, so hopefully he can navigate that without costing too much time.
Bounce around the grid. I'm going to go down to Brian Rasco in the Lambo. Currently half a second behind Keith Briscoe, his teammate, who is also in the Lambo.
Looks like Keith just got past. Actually, no, scratch that. Colin Johnson in front has been there the whole race. Joining Split Red this week and going forward from Blue.
Oh, we have a defector.
We do.
We had a few debutantes in the North American Blue Split. Not sure if they're tuning in right now. Blaine Hall was one, and then Jeffrey Amador.
Okay. So we have crossed the halfway point in this first 20-minute race. No major dramas yet. Order has stayed roughly where it started as well. Don't think too many moves have happened. At least not after the start. Front pack still running fairly nose to tail. There's a few big gaps in there, but mostly running together at this point.
Patterson's managed to drop Landry. It's now out 3.5 seconds between P2 and 3, so I think that will, unless something happens, that will be pretty static for the rest of this race with 8 minutes to go. And while anything can happen here.
Yeah, Patterson's caught one of the back markers, so just got to navigate that cleanly, keep his gap, not lose too much more ground to Lou, although I think P1 is fairly solid at this point. Still only the one penalty, so I think that was all that the stewards are going to assign from the start.
Patterson he puts in a 1:41.9. Not his fastest lap, but still not bad going. Lose gap now, just over 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, so he matched Lou on that last lap pretty much, but Lou still has the advantage on pace at the moment.
A lot of close teammate battles going on as we see Barnes just getting through some lap traffic.
Bounce up to Simon Salomon as he is right on the bumper of Snell Train.
Just one of the main defending areas that Dave was talking about earlier. Lee Coop. So they make their way once again down the hill through Mineshaft and then towards the Crocodiles. This is also one, if you can catch your opponent unaware, I feel you can get a move done because of the way the track widens out on the exit. You can get a run. You see a Porsche there, a little bit out on the grass through Cheetah.
As you said, that certainly leaves some room for creativity there as you come through Crocodiles, as it is a massive turn.
Salomon fakes inside in turn 2. Snell Train doesn't really bite on that one, so Salomon just tucks back inside, follows here through this twisty section. Trying to go 2x2 through there is very dangerous with those curbs. They just come out of nowhere and kick you into your opponent pretty quickly.
One of the things that people like about this track so much is those couple of corners where it does, the track goes wider on the exit, not necessarily onto the entrance, but you've got to sort of pick your line early on, but it gives you that ability that if you do have to make a move around the outside, you you've got traction. If you think you can carry the speed, don't necessarily just have to throw it up the inside every time.
I think it's safe to assume that Simon is sizing up an overtake here soon in Snell Train, or attempting to. Going a tiny bit wide on Crocodiles, making his way through Cheetah. And see if he gets a good exit through Ingwe. Looks quick.
It looks like a better run through there for Salomon for sure. Just don't know if he's going to have the grunt. Oh, wow.
What was that?
Closed
contact?
up real quick out of nowhere. I don't know if that was netcode or just physics being weird and he got the draft all of a sudden. I think he might have just bumped into the rear a tiny bit. He kind of panicked and backed out of it appropriately, but just kind of ran out of space real quick.
Yeah, he should have probably gone out earlier, left it too late, and with the extra speed he was carrying, he was on the back of Snell Train already and didn't have the space to get out, so luckily enough, no damage done.
Yeah, I think you could say if he would have moved out earlier, he would have had that done easy into turn 2, but he tries again. Oh, squirrely into the S's there. He's going to fall way back now. He's going to have to worry about his teammate Meyer in behind now, I think. Yeah, Meyer gets right into the rearview mirror there. Up through Liu Cop. Solomon staying ahead, though. Should be okay here, down through Mine Shaft.
I've never taken the Porsche around Kyalami, but it's looking rather squirrely as we're on board with Simon.
There's a few key areas where you got to make sure you keep the balance, but there's a lot of those corners where if you can kind of get it turned in early enough, keep the balance, and get on the power early, that's where that car excels. So I think it's one of the fastest around here, or at least it used to be. I'm not sure where it shakes out these days.
It's also not a fan of curbs generally, but especially around here, it's generally susceptible to just getting out of shape if you take too many liberties. So,
yeah, we got Philippa confirming that in the chat there. Welcome in, Philippa. And I want to jump back down. Let's go to P10 with Thomas Barnes, who is in the Aston. Currently trailing Taylor Clark in the Ferrari.
got car around, I think that's car 32. That is Cormier, I think, in the Honda.
Yeah, a little whoopsie.
Yeah, I think so.
All right,
Getting
let's
back.
go ahead and watch the replay.
Oh, I think he might get a touch here to see mirrors full of Porsche. Oh no, looks like he's on his own there. I'm not sure.
Was that a ghost?
That was, yeah, it was. I don't know what that was, but it looked like his mirror was full of pale blue and orange of a Porsche, and then he was around. So, not sure if that's just a bug in the replay system.
Leaders on fire.
Perhaps the ghost of Sunset Pass?
Quite potentially. As Lou starts his final lap. So we see a Lambo with a fair amount of damage, slowly getting around the last sector. That's Rasco. So I wonder if he was just behind his teammate, I think. Or just in front. And he's made some hard contact somewhere.
And behind Sam Snell Train, we have Simon Salomon still fighting for position. right, tinfoil hats on. Do you think Simon would rather pull out the better position in race 2 or get more points for race 1 if he can?
I think you go for the points.
Regardless, yeah.
You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, obviously the second race is weighted a little heavier in points, but with the reverse grid and extra qualifying, like you say, there's too many variables to try and get smart with your result in race 1 and rig something for the second. So I think just take what you can get when you can get it and be happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely. As we got some drivers coming across the finish line right now, we have Carden Liu at P1, Zach Patterson P2, Marc-Antoine Landry P3, Takis Weeks P4, Simon Salomon P6. Oh, sorry, Sam Snelltrain in P5, Andy Meyer P7, Adrian Bourdon P8, Taylor Clark P9, and Thomas Varnes topping off the top 10, Keith Briscoe and Steve Davis P11 and P12. So that will be your reverse grid order. A few guys coming across the line now. On board with Devin Cormier. Todd File coming across in the blue steel McLaren. And that just about wraps up race number 1 for North America Red. That was quite a bit of sadness for 20 minutes. In terms of accidents. Good racing otherwise.
Certainly was. Lou absolutely got out in front and was never challenged, really. It would seem like potentially in the box seat for race 2 if he can pick his way cleanly through the reverse grid. Meanwhile, we'll watch the 13 down, try and find it out to see what the starting order for them is in race 2.
Just waiting on the server to swap over. I don't know if this is a me thing or a server thing.
Server, I would think.
Yep. Server's just taking its sweet time. I think with Rasco and Clark, looks like they didn't take a checkered flag, so they're just going to have to wait out the max wait time at the end, but we'll flip over here shortly.
Do we have any little Easter eggs on Kyalami like we do for Imola?
Well, we need to find Karen. Karen will be here.
Where's Karen? Let's go.
Karen's usually in one of the corporate boxes. I think if you go to the last corner end of the of that area you were in, no, the last corner, not the first corner.
Other way. Keep going backwards.
Where am I?
Yep, that way. But then turn around. Or is there no more? Yep, keep following that trail of people.
Keep going.
No, she's not here. She's one of the circuits.
You
She's
gotta
right at the end. But I think we
go down a level. I think you're up too high.
There we go.
There they are.
That's her.
We did it!
Not impressed, as always.
All right, let's go ahead and switch up the camera angles. I'm going to go on board with an Audi. What Audi do we have in their outlap?
Louis, I think, is just leaving the pits now.
And we do have Cameron Sansano mowing the grass. Hop on board with Louis.
That's just his side business. He just does that to make a bit of extra cash.
Says he'll do it on the outlap, but nothing more, right?
Yeah, that's right. Costs extra to do it during the race.
All right, so as we got people out on their outlap, this is race number 7. So that leaves us with 3 weeks until finals. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe you're correct.
Next week we have Misano coming up, which, if I'm not mistaken, again, is a night race. Great track to run at night.
Midnight at Misano, is that what we're referring to?
We can, yeah. Why don't we go ahead, take that away.
Yeah, Misano is endurance race coming up. It'll be a full night race. Well, full night in-game race time race. So get your team together and get ready for that one. We've also got Silverstone, I think, has got an Enduro coming up as well. And also the Enduro series for all regions. So not just the sprints for OOR going around at the moment, we've also got Enduro stuff coming up as well.
Yep, so like Frank said, if you are interested, it's in all regions, North America, Europe, and the Asia Pacific region. You hop in, it's got 24 minutes of qualifying. It's teams of 3 with 1 reserve driver. So that's 2 drivers, 1 reserve, and then a 180-minute long race, which is 3 hours. So it should be good fun. That is going to be a new series starting up here in September, and it runs about once a month. So if I'm not mistaken, first weekends of each month seems to round it out.
Yeah, and I think I'll see if I can find out the circuits we'll be running for the Endurance Series as well.
I know Laguna Seca is on there. We have not run that in a long time.
Certainly is. So it will be Endurance Series, 4 circuits, Laguna Seca, Donington, Hungaroring, and finishing up at Spa. As Scope had time to type it all out. As well as Philippa. Just everybody in chat, please Control-C, Control-V what they all wrote and just paste it 50 times.
Alright, we got some times coming across the board. Currently, Cameron Sensano is sitting at the top. He is currently riding a 141.742, followed by Colin Johnson and then Ben Keogh. Colin Johnson in the Porky Boy and Ben Keogh in the Beamer. Follow Philip Clark.
Sorry, I was just going to ask Dave, what do you prefer, the longer races or do you prefer sprints?
I'm a longer race guy usually. Sprints are fun though. Just if you do have a bad race, it's over quick.
Good point.
They're a little more hectic, and I'm more kind of a slow and steady, or at least I like to think I am. I'm just going to plug away at the laps. Don't worry about going all out for 6 or 7 type of thing. But I do like this kind of mixed format, so it gives you a taste of both. And the second qualifying is a nice addition this year too.
I'll just
generally I prefer the longer races.
I'll just give everyone a pro tip. If you ever want to do endurance racing but just don't want to be just doing laps by yourself with not seeing another car, drive a GT4 and a GT3 race. You will not have that problem. Because you will be so busy letting through GT3 cars, it'll just feel like you're racing all the time. No, I do love Laguna Seca. I know a lot of people don't like it. It's one of those tracks that's a little bit polarizing, but grew up playing racing games that featured Laguna pretty heavily, so it's always got a soft spot for it.
Yeah, I have an odd affection for tracks that people hate. Brands Hatch being one of those as well.
Yeah, I don't get the hate for Brands as well. Other than the fact that it's a little bit narrow, but as a circuit itself, it's pretty good.
Yeah. And as we were babbling on there, Tim Brook snuck his way into P2, aka P14, in the second race. And he is 500ths away from Cameron Sansano's time. Incredibly close in the top three here. Ben Keogh 900ths away from Cameron Sansano. As we have a Lambo in the background taking the scenic route.
Keogh's just gone faster, I think.
Yes, he did. He's currently
But
sitting-
not by a lot, though.
No, not at all. Just to be overtaken by Colin Johnson, who puts in a 41.484.
That is a cracking lap. And Brook beats him. Though it was short-lived for Johnson, he probably gave Brook a tow.
No donuts
It's,
this round. That, Dave, you missed out. On the second qualifying, I can't recall who the drivers were, but we had donuts, exact times. Between P1 and P2.
Yeah, it was separated by who said it first.
Go back to Michael Louis.
He needs to find at least 3/10 to get a position, but if you can find 4/10, it'll get him 2 or 3.
Let's go in the cockpit, see what the race logic is saying. Not quite fast enough, but regardless, a very quick lap.
Yeah, it looks like he lost 2 or 3 tenths by the end of that one over his PB, so it didn't improve at all. But P6, which will be as the rain come down in Africa.
We have been blessed.
Where's Toto?
So interesting. Looks like it's going to dry up a tiny bit, or lighten up at least, over the course of the race.
Track is rated wet, so wet tyres will be probably suggested, but if it dries up, will we see pit stops for dry tyres towards the end?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It's lightening. It's not really stopping, according to the forecast at this point, so probably not going to get to dry tires by the end, but we'll have to see if these guys create a dry line or the forecast changes here. Wind's not moving too much, so it should stick to the forecast fairly closely at this point.
This will be a...
Good.
Sorry, I was going to say this is a complication. The guys that finished towards the pointy end of race 1, they do not need to try and get through and pick through their way through some of the guys higher up the grid. Yeah, they've got the rain to worry about, so the visibility is probably going to be a little bit less. Brakes are all going to be all different. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. We'll see if people are going onto the wet tyres, or do we think people are going to risk it, seeing the forecast is going to change and hang it out on dries?
I think you're very brave if you're trying dry tires in this one.
I was gonna say, if you hate yourself, maybe you throw on the dry tires. That would be cool.
You know, somebody's going to do it though. There will be one, guaranteed.
Let's see. I think I can see that. Let's take a look.
Yeah, if you change it to HUD mode, basic HUD.
Yep.
So Louis is on the wets. So
All right, we'll go through Tim Brook, Colin Johnson, Ben Keogh. All right, Louis, Philip Clark. I'm seeing a trend here.
There we go.
Oh, hold on, there he is. Oh no,
Davis, you have proven me right.
Oh. So was that an oopsie, or is it intentional? We'll have to keep an eye
Doesn't
on
matter.
that.
It still counts.
Yeah. I know. I'm not taking it away from you. Don't worry. That is quite ballsy.
Oh, there's somebody. No, that is Davis. He's our pole sitter as well. So, luckily enough, if he can't pull the car up because he's on the wrong tire, he's really just going to send himself into the gravel. He's not potentially going to hit anyone else unless he just can't get drive out of the last corner and gets absolutely swarmed as they steam down into turn 2.
Go ahead and change the HUD back up. Well, I feel his pain. In the GT4 series that we ran, I went to pit and totally forgot to change my pit strat to also have wets, and that was a nightmare.
You don't realise how many darker shades of blue there are until you start seeing your temp gauge, your dry tyres on a wet track.
You see the rainbow then, right?
Yeah, they'll start green and then they'll go to some shade of dark purple that humans really shouldn't be able to see.
Well, that's
beyond
if you're
the
in
realms.
The GT3s, yes. If you're in the GT4s, it starts blue and then it just goes purple and then a dark abyss.
Yeah.
But anyways, as we start to come around through the crocodiles and past Cheetah, we will start race number 2.
Who are we going to get to call this?
I'll go ahead and call it.
Okay.
And let's go with Mr. Salomon. Got the leaders coming across Ingwe right now as we wait for the green lights. Should be any second. And the race has initiated, but not quite yet. We got green. Got a few drivers going off into the side. 3 wide going past the kink. Leading us into Crawthorne T2. Oh, did I see 5 wide there? Oh, we're collecting a Porsche in the middle there. Porsche's collecting the Aston, McLaren, Beamer, and a Honda. It looks like Ben Keogh was collected in there. It has a bit of contact. Jump back up to the front.
No safety car, it looks like.
Ooh, Andy Meyer was collected in that too. That's unfortunate. As we're making it through Sunset, still relatively clean at the top. But as we all know, rain is the equalizer. Anything could happen. Mr. Dry Tire's still at the top though.
Yeah, I'll tell you who's also made a great start is Patterson. He's already up to P4. Saw at the start he did a massive send on the inside into turn 2. And luckily enough, everyone respected it. And he might find himself into P1 as that Beamer is struggling with traction. They make contact, luckily enough. No one gets sent, but that Beamer is going to struggle from the understeer and does.
Yep. That car just had no grip going through there. I think he bailed a bit with the car on the inside, had to get offline a bit, and then that was game over for him. Looks like he's still struggling in the background there. So Patterson into P1 after lap 1.
While
Like you say, a huge send into T2 and then just kind of kept going from there.
Oh, we got
looks like some cars around in the background there.
that might be the race winner, Lou. Suddenly down in P21. I think this is Sano, but Lou's also gone from P10 or 11. So we'll watch here. You see Lou in the foreground there. He does. He gets tagged. So he gets tagged and
doesn't
just
hold the brakes. Oh, that's not good. That's not good.
So very messy last corner there.
Yeah, Sansano didn't do anything wrong there. Just got tagged in the back end.
We're going to go ahead and jump back up to the top with Taylor Clark, who's trailing Simon Salomon. And we have Dag in the chat saying, I'm impressed with those drives, and never mind.
Yeah, it was going to be a point where they were just not going to grip.
And we found it a bit quicker than we thought. Getting a bit swirly there through Crocodile. And it looks like Salomon will take that position, and he may lose another position to Taylor Clark there, falling down 2 spots.
I think our dry tyre champion, he's decided that's enough. Can't see him on the timing screen anymore.
Yep. Relatively close overall. Ben Keogh is 200ths away from Mike Dyson. And there's a bit of sadness. Let's go ahead and take a review here. Looks like they both might have been collected.
So Keogh gets the better run out of the last corner. Looks like he's almost ahead by this point. Oh, Daizon just gets the braking completely wrong. Comes through, collects. I'm not sure who that is there, but one of the Porsche is going to be upset. Chris Stevens.
Possibly.
Absolute innocent bystander there. All of a sudden, you've got a Audi, like a missile, headed straight for the side of your car.
Yeah, I definitely think it was Chris Stevens, judging by the look of his running boards there and bumper. That's pretty rough.
Yeah. That is not going to get your deposit back on that one.
Someone else will be very happy about that. Keith Briscoe hopping up into P5.
Yeah, Mayer's got a drive through, so I wonder if that's a penalty or if that's track limits this early on.
Potentially track limits. There have been quite a few going wide, but even with that, you would have to have faster times, so I don't know. It looks like penalties cleared. Yeah, there we go. It looks like it's being replaced, Frank. 10 seconds instead.
Yep. I wonder if usually the only ones they replace are the pit lane infringements, I thought. So maybe.
Yeah, so came in for damage or something and sped in the pits.
Well, Brooke having a look at Bourdon. Oh, luckily not to make contact there, because that would have definitely spun that Ferrari. He's going to try and look at the over and under, but just clips the inside curb, and there's just no traction on a wet ripple strip. Just allows the Fezzer just to pull away.
So just double checked. My arrow was definitely for pit speeding. It was about 60 kph across the line. Came in to fix some damage on the second racing lap.
Meanwhile, Lou has already got himself back up into P12 already, so on the charge is the Honda. Patterson has opened up a 1.8 second gap to Salomon.
Honda's king of the rain, isn't it? It's pretty solid in the wet.
I like to think so. Everybody still reckons the Nissan is the wet beast.
Salomon with the fastest lap at this point, 47.5. Landry is the next closest, 47.6. So Porsche and Nissan at the moment, quickest in the wet, as we've got Tim Brook going 2x2. He might have had room there to go a bit harder, but kind of caution was the smart decision there. Let's see if he can send it around Bourdon here at the top of the hill. Can't quite get it done in the first part. I think he got kind of pushed offline there, so I don't know. Ooh, he catches up there through the first part of the exit. Bit of a touch, but nothing major. Sends it up the inside, it looks like. Bourdon, not sure if he's letting it. Oh, no, Brook looks like he just missed the braking completely. Carried way too much speed.
You've also got the battle of Snell Train and Spec in the background there too.
Yeah, Brook's got to be smart here. Can't force too much to try and get past Bourdon and end up losing 2 spots in behind at least. Looks like Louis and Johnson aren't too far behind either.
Yeah, this battle's going to be...
Looks like Louis in the background almost lost it, held it together.
This battle's going to invite some of those cars behind as they're 2x2 through the corner as well. So this P6 down to about P10, P11. It's going to be very, very spicy very shortly if these guys hold each other up. Bit understeer there from the Ferrari. Just to hold on. Now another look from the Bentley on the inside, onto the grass, and hip and shoulders. Or Bourdon out into the grass. So, and they both lose 2 positions there. As the chasing duo just went straight through. And that's a big old send from the BMW. I was never going to pull that up.
I think that right there was just brakes. Those Beamer brakes are not that reliable. And if you're carrying that kind of speed in a draft, that gets a bit rough.
Now, Snell Train's got to make hay now and try and break clear of that chasing pack. But making his way towards Briscoe, who's 8 seconds up the road. You know what, Salomon is sticking with Patterson. That gap 1.4, so a little mistake from Patterson will invite that Porsche, though that gap's now just gone to 2 as they cross the sector line. So not yet comfortable, especially in these conditions, but Patterson is managing to pull a bit of a gap.
What do you say we hop on board with our race leader, Zach Patterson? Watch him come through as he goes towards Mineshaft and Crocodiles. Fastest lap of the race is currently held by Simon Salomon, 147.040. Can he beat that? He does. Zach Patterson will take the fastest lap currently with a 146.905.
Interestingly, he's going off somewhat dry line that's forming on the main straight. Is he potentially hunting for a bit cool parts of the track for his tyres, or?
Yeah, it looks like the track conditions improved to damp, so wet tires might be starting to get a little crispy if people didn't take too much pressure out of them. So that'll be something to watch here as we go on. If most of the grid started on wets and they're going to start getting hot here, 26 minutes is a ways to go still, so curious to see if anyone pits for dries, especially those who are kind of down in the 20-ish position range. Kind of take a gamble here. Pit stop's probably not worth the time, but you never know.
Well, as we've got a car around, I think that's 176. That's Johnson.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find him. We'll hop in for a replay. We may have lost him. Nope. There he is. Colin Johnson, right? He's still going.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. And of course, I waited too long.
So it looks like sunset. That's definitely one of the trickiest corners in the Porsche in my experience. You want to obviously carry as much speed as you can through there, but if you kind of chuck it in too aggressively, the rear end just comes all the way around on you. So I think that might be what happened to Colin on that one.
So he's now got Cormier and Lou chasing him down. Lou dropped another position there somewhere as well. So he's now down in 13. He was up to P12. So not the greatest of races for our race 1 winner. Meanwhile, Patterson, he is managing to hold the gap, 1.9. But do we have a little wrinkle in regards to, is there potential tyre issues with a dry enough line forming?
Yeah, that's something I wish we could see. That along with fuel, but broadcast won't let us. Aside from this little battle here, looking across the grid, fairly spaced out, with the few exceptions: Sam Snelltrain, Andreas Specht, and Marc-Antoine Landry, who's 2/10. Let's go up to Landry.
See what Clark does. He takes the inside line, goes defensive, then switches back to the outside. Landry has a look, but just not quite the ability to do it there. This is where you want to try and be under the rear wing through Sunset Club and the S's, and potentially have a look at the hairpin at Lee Coop. The Nissan is supposedly one of the better cars in the wet, so see if Landry can use it to get past Clark. A little bit too far back here, you'd feel. We've got a 5-second penalty for car 135. That's Rasco in the Lambo, causing a collision. Also car 112, which is Varnes. He's currently sitting in P9, so we'll potentially drop him out of the top 10.
So we have another interesting thing going on. If you look on the top right, you can see the weather. And at the 30-minute mark, it looks like clouds, and someone just went very wide.
Yeah, it's the Lambo of... who was that for?
Briscoe.
Wait, yeah.
So it looks like weather-wise, we'll dry up after the race is over, but the last... I guess at the finish, it'll be who can keep their tires the most happy. I don't think any of the front runners are going to pit at this point. So it'll just be who can keep them. Oh, was that 66? Lyra takes Cheetah very aggressively. Going to give Weeks an opportunity here in the last corner. Dizon as well. Might be able to capitalize, although he looks like he's too far back at this point.
It's just the esports line, that's all.
He's also lost a spot to Dizone as well. So, not the greatest run for Lyra there. Yeah, unfortunately there's not sort of a big enough gap for someone to safely experiment with a dry tyre change.
Yeah. I think if anyone was to try it, it would be anyone who's kind of 20 or backwards. Maybe those guys that have penalties. So I think the race is that far over, but obviously if they come in, they're going to have to serve that penalty, so that just adds on to the time anyways. So I don't think we'll see anyone pit for tires in this one, but you never know.
Yep. Salomon is catching the back of Patterson though. He's got the gap down now to 1.6. So I wonder if that Porsche is just a little bit gentler on the tyres than the Nissan. You can see there, they're getting well off the dry line that's been created on the straights, and they're just trying to cool those tyres down. So how much will they have to manage it towards the end of this race?
That was my thought exactly. As we won't quite lose the rain by the end of the race, it will start to diminish a tiny bit. It makes you question how many people will have balloons by the time they cross that start-finish line.
As we still see the track rated as damp, I think you can drive on dry tyres with the damp track. how much time is it costing you? So we'll have a look in there and see what the lap times are doing. Obviously be a crossover point where it's actually quicker to do the stop and put dry tyres on. 18 minutes to go. They're doing 146s versus what you would think about a 141 in the dry, so that's 5 seconds.
So
But it is
timing
not-
wise, it's about 5 seconds on wets from dry race pace.
Yep. So you get the feeling they wouldn't be doing 141s on dries if they went out there. So probably not quite yet, but as you rightly pointed out, how bad are the tyres going to be after 40 minutes?
Oof.
So you see McLaren go exit stage right.
It's not Todd.
Todd File. He was just getting out of the way for the blue flags.
Good save there.
So what, Patterson was so lucky he went to the outside of the track there instead of snapping back again and coming back right into his path.
Yeah, definitely good heads-up awareness by all the drivers out there. Yeah, Tim, sorry to see that.
Sullivan now has got the gap down to just over 1 second, so he is reeling Patterson in.
Yeah, Simon's last lap looks like he was about a 10th quicker. So, slowly but surely, with about 16 minutes left, if he keeps that up, could be fighting for P1 here at the end. And in comparison to our dry races with the wet, certainly a bit more incidents, and pack is not necessarily as close as it once was. Race number 2 in the North American Blue Split, we saw the majority of drivers all in one pack for the whole race, but the great equalizer has spread the track out quite a bit.
Another yellow. I think that car teleported to the pits. May have been, I think it may have been Luke who's teleported straight back to the pits. I did see a yellow flashy dot.
Alright, let's go ahead and do a replay, see if we can catch it.
Yeah, just so as he get a help, he does, and there we go. Car just gets into the wet and straight into the wall. So, bit of an unfortunate end by contact. So, Lou's decided his second race is done. Well, Andreas trying on the back of Snell train. And you got Bourdon and Varnes currently having their own little battle trying to get to the back of the BMW. as we see the Mercedes in the background there. I don't know if that was a lap car.
Was it Sansano? Or Lira?
No, it's Lira, I think. See it come out here on the ripple strip. Yeah, through the S's. It's all good there. I think it's towards the end. He just catches the grass.
Yeah, it looks like it started over rotating just a tiny bit, and then, like you say, got on the grass, and that kept it going.
He's done well. He's held the brakes. He's let the traffic go.
Yeah, there's another penalty that came in just as that was happening as well. I think it might have been the Daizon one, 968.
I think you're right. So they've all got penalties around that 16, 17, 18.
Well, they can all fight themselves for positions.
Daizon, I think, was the one that gave the little hip check to Lou before he returned to the garage.
See if Briscoe get a move done on Clark here. And Landry's only just in front of these two as well, so yeah, a bit to play for these guys for the last spot on the podium.
What do you think is the craziest animal that they've seen run across the track at Kyalami?
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know what the
they have lions over there, right?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they're a little bit further north of Kyalami or
Yeah, I don't know
potentially.
I feel like lions are more central to northern Africa, but I do not know my African fauna very well.
Well, that makes two of us.
I mean,
Go
I think
ahead,
they'd have. I think they'd have the occasional springbok across the track as well.
Yeah,
What's a springbok? I have no clue what that is.
It's like a deer or an antelope that's
Oh.
native to South Africa.
Gotcha.
They it's the name of their rugby team as well.
Oh, okay. Could you imagine having to pause the race because there's an enormous giraffe walking across England? Yeah, so give us 5 minutes. We gotta try and poke this giraffe out of the way.
Yeah, I would imagine giraffes would be pretty timid and wouldn't go anywhere near a lot of noise, but elephants, man, they do not care. They'll walk through anything. If they need to get somewhere as a herd,
Mm-hmm.
and your town happens to be in the way, then your town is invaded by elephants. I'm sorry.
Too bad, so sad.
Yeah. I mean, you know, Bathurst here is all. There's usually at least one kangaroo spotting every year. A couple of times they get hit.
That's pretty brutal when a car hits a kangaroo, right?
Yeah.
Because they're
Yeah,
fairly
kangaroo.
large.
Yep. The Bathurst is lucky it's in the eastern part of Australia. The western has even bigger kangaroos, so they do a lot more damage. As we watch back now in the BMW. Going to try and go around the outside of Snell Train, and I think he's going to get it done. He is.
Yeah,
That
that
is
was took a few corners to get that one done, but that was a nice move to finally get it done there.
Yeah, very brave outside of the dry line. Through a corner, even in the dry, you'd be hesitant to try and make an overtake on. But yeah, no, great move from the BMW. As we see, hold on, just go a little bit deep there. Manages to stay on track though.
Yeah, once we get across Ingwe, we'll jump back up to Simon Salomon, who has cut the gap down to 0.8, but also gained on Marc-Antoine Landry, who's behind him 10.8 seconds.
At this point, you've got to say, if you were going to pit, you would have pitted by now. This is now really about tyre management and preservation. It is still raining, as you can see, but obviously not enough to be, not to have the line displaced by all the cars going around. So as you can see, there is a bit of a dry line at the moment. Some of these guys are hunting cooler parts of the track on the straights. So these guys now will start to encounter some traffic. So see what that does. So that gap now half a second. So Patterson now is going to be feeling all sorts of pressure. Porsche is going to get very large in his mirrors. He's also going to try and pick his way through the traffic that's coming up the quickest and most efficient way as well.
Yeah, with the cars that close, you think Salomon's just going to be able to follow Patterson through whenever he gets to traffic. So definitely the pressure on Patterson to get through quickly, not get slowed up too much. Hopefully the traffic realizes who they've got behind them and get out of the way in a convenient spot.
Although if I'm Salomon, I'm on the radio saying to my teammate, hey, there's a couple of cars approaching you. Do me a solid. Just hold him up for a corner or two.
Oh no, I thought I went wide enough.
Didn't mean to brake check you there in the middle of the straight.
In the wet.
In the wet. Thought my brake pedal had gone. Tell you what though, Zach's done well. He's led the entire race. He surely wouldn't want to let the lead slip with less than 5 minutes to go. Here you can see where you don't know if it's a defensive line or just hunting for cool track temps line. The fact that he's coming back out wide to get back in his braking mark says to me that he's looking for cool parts of the track at the moment.
Blue flags are out as we approach, looks like P17 and 18 between Brian Rasco and Andy Meyer.
And this is a bad part to catch those blue flags for Patterson as well. Not a real easy spot to let him through.
Yeah, this is crucial for Simon at the moment as they get through the S's, bring it up top to the coup. Could potentially see a switch around.
This is a spot where you should be letting a car through at this point. He does, but he's let both through, so Patterson not much advantage from that. Now he's got Porsche
Still one
up
more.
ahead.
So the Porsche of Andy Meyer is up ahead there. And we'll see if these team comms come into play.
Lets him through there and does well to keep in front of the guy he was fighting. So cleared that lot, and they've got a pretty clear track now. I don't think they'll encounter any more traffic, so this will be just a straight up fight between Patterson and Salomon now. So the gap was all but half a second. This is where we saw Salomon really strong too, through this middle sector. Whereas Patterson really got a bit of a gap from the top of the hairpin down. So let's see what happens. So probably this lap and one more.
Yeah, I'm thinking if Zach keeps his elbows out long enough that he has this in the bag.
Yeah, you can see the gap. This is where I think the Honda's probably just a little bit stronger than the Porsche. So if you get too aggressive at Cheetah, you can potentially ruin your race. Oh, as the Porsche goes a little bit wide at the exit of Crocodiles. Luckily, there's a bit of runoff there. If that was dirt, would have been in all sorts of trouble, would have lost a little bit of time. So this is it now.
Alright, man, the leader is on the final lap. Give it a final push.
Gap still half a second. Been a great end to this race. If you're Zach Patterson, where are you looking to get the job done?
Yeah, I feel like now it's just defending up at the top of the hill at Lukop. He's got 0.5 of a second, so that gap is opening up here on this last lap a tiny bit. Over to a second now as it timing sheet updates. So I think just making sure that you've got your lines, don't get too adventurous, stay on target. Bring it home here as the timer runs out. He's still got a second coming into here. I think if he's in the lead coming out of here, it's a done deal.
Yeah,
Although I say that, Cheetah could still bite. It doesn't really care what the timer says.
I think Patterson has absolutely judged his tyres about as well as anyone could have. He let Salomon burn him up a little bit coming back to him, but made sure he had some in the last couple of laps. Successfully navigates Cheetah. And he will go P2 in race 1, and he will finish P1 in race 2. Great defending there from Patterson. Salomon, he can be pretty happy with his P2. Landry is going to hold off Clark and will take the third step on the podium. Clark 4, Briscoe coming through in P5. Now, will be the BMW of Andreas. He will take P6 in front of Snell Train and Bildon. They finished pretty close in the end. Only 4 tenths separating. And then you've got Vance, who's carrying a bit of pen, so he may finish P8, but he might not stay there. He might finish P9, I think. There's Louis. And now Johnson, sorry. He will finish P10, Keogh 11, Cormier 12, and then Weeks 13. And then Stevens and Dizon. Dizon carrying pens though, so Weeks will have it covered. There we go. I think there's Lyra just to finish up. A fairly damaged Mercedes, you'd have to say.
To put it lightly. And Lyra crossing the finish line will wrap up this evening.
So the rain added a bit of excitement to the second race on top of the reverse grid. Definitely a few people shuffling at the start of that one. Quite a few incidents as well.
Green light, go, go, go.
But a good night of racing in North America. Split red.
It was
Not too bad at all.
great battle towards. Yeah.
Take a look at the timetables. And for race 1, Bourdon and Dizon, 1 and 2 for the amateurs. Pro-Am, you have Varnes, Davis, Cormier. Overall for race 1, Lou, Patterson, and Antoine Landry. And Dave or Frank, if you'd like to take race 2.
Race 2, Bourdon and Dizon. On the AMs, Pro-Ams, Louis, Varnes, Cormier, and Stevens. And then overall, Patterson gets the win over Salomon, Landry, Clark, Briscoe, Spec, Snell Train, Bourdon, Louis, and Varnes rounds out your top 10.
Not too bad. So Patterson will creep his way up the Drivers' Championship. Salomon will likely stay on top. But overall, good race. As we said, rain makes it a little bit spicy. But that is going to wrap it up from us here in the studio. So from myself, Frank, and Dave, thank you for tuning in. And we will see you next week at Mazzano. Does anyone else have any closing remarks?
Nope. I think sign up for Endurance Series if you're interested. All that's kicking off in a big way for next season, so don't forget to sign up for that. Love to see North America get off the ground this season.
I agree.
And thanks for having me for the North American tier this morning or this evening for North America. Hit like and subscribe on the channel if you like some more of this ACC content. And yeah, I'll see you guys all around.
All right. Thanks, Frank. Take care, guys.
See you.